Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Katie and I'm the owner of Casey Health and Fitness Coaching. This video is part of my mental health series, so episode 2. Today I will be talking about anxiety and depression. Those are two things that I struggle with, so I am familiar with them, but I'll also be talking about mental health in general. You guys asked some questions on my Instagram page, so I took some time to reflect on these questions that you guys asked, so I could give you guys meaningful responses instead of just like one-word answers. You guys asked so many questions that I'll probably have to split this up into 2 parts, maybe 3 parts, depending on how much I talk. But in this video, I will be talking about my own mental health. I'll be talking about how and when I knew I needed medical support, the medication that I take, and how you can support somebody in your life who is struggling with their own mental health. I'm gonna try and make this chat as like conversational and casual as possible. I want you to feel comfortable when you're watching this because I think that a lot of the times it can feel uncomfortable talking about our mental health, but it shouldn't be. And I think that that's why there's this stigma around it, is just because it just makes us so uncomfortable. But why? It's a part of our daily life. We all struggle with it at some point, and having conversations about it is important, and it's gonna help reduce that stigma. The first question I'm going to answer is, how did you start to notice that you had anxiety? So growing up, I had no idea what anxiety even was. It's not until I look back on certain situations where I'm like, wow, I was a very anxious person. I was constantly nervous. I was constantly afraid. I didn't feel safe. I always felt just on edge in so many different situations, but I had no idea that this was anxiety. I don't think I should have taken medication any earlier on in my life. I think I started it at a good time, but I do wish that I was more aware of the feelings that I had, why I felt that way, what it meant, how to cope with it, and just to know that it didn't define me as a person just because I felt this way. Okay, so some of the worst years of my life were in school. So like from elementary school all the way until university. I always thought that there was something wrong with me and that I was different. I mean, I still do, and that's okay. I am trying to accept my uniqueness as a person, and the things that I struggle with are normal, but I still really struggled with just like feeling like I did not belong. I never felt like I could truly connect with anyone or that I could be myself. I always felt like I was trying to like kind of keep up with the things that other people said, their interests, like just because I was so nervous and so afraid to talk, to be myself, because I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be disliked. I didn't want people to look at me the same way I felt about myself. I felt like there was something wrong with me and that I was different, and I didn't want other people looking at me and agreeing. So like I said, I think I have always had anxiety since a very young age, but all these things throughout school have made it so much worse for me where I'm at right now. So it wasn't until my final years of university that I found a healthy way of coping with anxiety. I think before I didn't have a healthy way of truly coping with what I was feeling. So when I was in university, that's when I started going to the gym, and that's when I used the gym as an outlet for myself, as therapy for myself, as my way to cope with my anxiety and depression. Now keep in mind, like I still haven't talked to a doctor or counselor yet. I think I was afraid to accept it because I didn't believe I deserved to feel the way that I was feeling, in terms of I feel like nothing truly bad has happened to me where I should deserve to be depressed or feel anxious. I felt like I was being selfish for feeling this way, and that's why I never really talked about it, and I never really seek the support that I needed, because I didn't want to be selfish. It wasn't until I noticed physical changes in my body that I was like, okay, I'm not okay. Like something is going on here, which is so sad to think. Like, the fact that we don't think something is wrong until we can physically see it in our bodies. And that's the stigma against mental health, is there's nothing wrong with you unless you can physically see it or it's physically debilitating you. But our mental health can do the exact same thing. Then after that, I did finally go to counseling after I noticed these changes in my body. I still didn't take medication, though I thought that I could fix it on my own. So like exercising, journaling, eating healthy, changing my habits, working on my mindset, things like that. And I did already start to lose weight. So I was getting healthy again, but mentally I was still not okay. I even talked to my counselor about this. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I feel like I'm healthy, like I'm doing the things that I need to do. I feel like I should be fixed by now. And I had already been told that I had anxiety and depression and that medication could help. But I was like, at first I don't think I was against it, but I felt like I could fix it myself. And I also didn't want to be selfish. Like I said, like I didn't think that I was somebody who deserved to take medication when there's somebody that could be suffering more than I was. But then after realizing that I was still not okay even after doing these things and getting healthy, I realized that I could not do it on my own. And that's when I made the decision to start taking medication. So then after that, I took medication for about 2 years, I think, and then I stopped taking it for 2 years, which I don't recommend. You're not supposed to just stop taking medication. I made that decision myself because I thought I was at a really good point in my life. I was feeling good. You can experience negative side effects when you do that, so I definitely recommend talking to your doctor about it and like slowly coming off of your medication if your doctor tells you it's okay. But I didn't have any negative side effects. I did feel fine, and for the 2 years I definitely was feeling good. And it wasn't until recently where I was like, okay, maybe I do need to go back on my medication. And I didn't realize it right away. It wasn't actually me who was like, okay, it's time to take my medication again. So my mom was actually the one who said something to me, which a lot of the times people are afraid to talk to loved ones in their lives about these type of things, but it can actually save someone. So my mom reached out to me. She asked if I was okay. She said that I seem more unhappy than I usually am. I denied it. I kind of took that as like feeling like there was something wrong with me, and I didn't want to accept it, and that's okay. I feel like we all do this, and this might happen if you reach out to somebody in your life who might not be doing okay and you want to just see how they are. They might deny it at first. That act of you reaching out is in their mind, is something that actually it probably meant something to them, and now it's in the back of their mind. So I thought back to what my mom said, and it actually made me cry. It gave me time to think about it. I decided that if my mom reached out to say something like that to me, there's a reason. So I took some time to reflect and just think about how I'm actually doing. So that's when I decided to book a counseling appointment. Clearly, I had some things deep down that I was struggling with that I wasn't fully even aware of, and I needed help working through it. So during that counseling appointment, I ended up breaking down and crying at 2 separate times. Like, I clearly, I had a lot in me that I was struggling with, that I was holding in. We've honestly gone through some pretty big changes in the past year, and it's been a lot for me to carry. I hold things in for as long as I can until I hit a breaking point. I try and be as strong as possible on the outside for myself as well as for other people in my family, but on the inside I feel so weak. And I do feel like I was very close to hitting a breaking point. So these are all feelings that I've been having the past few weeks. So I told my counselor about my symptoms, things that I've been struggling with, just kind of going over everything, and she did say that I do have signs of depression and anxiety again. I didn't actually want to start taking my medication again. I felt like I was just kind of taking an easy way out or something, which is not the case, trust me. Anyway, I had an appointment with my doctor. It was for something completely different, not related to my medication, and I wasn't even planning on talking to him about my medication, but at the very end of our phone call, I blurted it out, and I was just like, it was in the back of my mind, and I'm like, okay, you know what, just do it. Like, now is the chance to do it. So I just didn't think about it, and I talked to him about my symptoms. We went over some stuff, and he said that I should go back on it. So that is my journey right now. I have been taking my medication for a week now. The next question that I got was, what medication do you take? So I take escitalopram. This is an SSRI. So it's a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It's used to treat major depression disorder and generalized anxiety. Like I said, I took my medication for 2 years, and then I stopped taking it for 2 years after that, and I'm back on the same medication now. I've been taking it for about a week now, and I've definitely noticed a lot of symptoms. I've been getting really bad headaches. I've been feeling really nauseous. I have very little energy, and I've heard from a lot of people that like these symptoms are normal and they usually go away after like a week or two, and I'm already noticing that the symptoms are going down right now as well. I do know that there are a lot of people out there that have to do trials with different medication to find one that works best for them. So the kind that works for me might not work for you. So make sure that you keep an open mind and try and talk with your doctor about how your meds make you feel so that you can find the right ones for you. The next question is if I'm worried about weight gain with my medication. So personally, I have never experienced weight gain directly related to taking my medication. I do know that some of the side effects of the medication I'm taking are weight gain and some of the other medications out there as well, but personally I haven't experienced it, so I can't really touch on weight gain specifically. But at the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you, and if it's going to help you in your mental health, I would say it's worth it. Don't let the potential of weight gain hold you back from doing something that's going to benefit you and your mental health. The next question, and probably the last question for this video, and then I'm going to do a part 2 with some of the other questions. So the question is, what is the best way to support somebody who's struggling with their mental health? So this one is hard for me to answer because obviously everyone is different, and I also think it's important that even if you don't know somebody is struggling with their mental health, it's still good to support them in this way. And then it's important to also understand that sometimes these people don't even realize it. Like I said, my mom reached out to me and she asked how I was doing, and I didn't even realize it. So it's important to kind of keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out how you can support people in your life. But anyway, what I need for support might be different than what other people need for support. So I'll share my own personal thoughts around it. But if you do have somebody in your life who is struggling or you think might be struggling, it might be a good idea to just reach out to them and see what they need during this time. Let's just say you know this person is struggling, you don't know how to help this person, and they're really suffering. It might be beneficial for you to also seek support and talk to somebody, talk to a counselor who can better help you understand what this person in your life is going through and what might be the best way to support them through it. Personally, I have a really hard time explaining what I'm going through and how I'm feeling. Sometimes I don't even know what I need for support. So I think that like if you truly do want to help someone, just like immersing yourself in understanding what they're going through. So if they are struggling with depression, if they are struggling with anxiety, how much do you know about these things? And is there any way you can educate yourself on it, understand it better, and then learn how to support somebody through it. Sometimes all it takes is for somebody to feel less alone. And a lot of the time, people who struggle with their mental health, myself included, are afraid of being a burden or a downer to others, or feeling like they're complaining to others. And that's why it can be really hard for those who are struggling to reach out to other people, is because they don't want to be a burden. They don't want to seem like a downer. They don't want to feel like they're complaining to other people. So they might not even like bring it up to you. And that's why I do think it's important for you to try and understand what they're going through and then reach out to them, just so that they feel like they're less alone. And the more that you understand it, the less alone they'll feel. Another thing is just trying to normalize what they're going through and making sure that you're talking to them like they're a normal person. You don't need to walk on eggshells around them. If you act like you're afraid to talk to somebody because they're upset or they're struggling, it's gonna make them feel like even more of a burden. So if they notice that you're trying to like walk on eggshells around them or change your behavior because of them, it's gonna make them feel worse. And that kind of ties into the stigma around mental health and seeking support, is because people talk to us like we're different, and it makes us feel even more broken. I think it's important to just talk to us about our mental health like it's normal. Don't be afraid to say the word depression or anxiety or whatever that person is going through. If you avoid saying it or bringing it up like it's a bad thing, that's making the stigma worse. So talking to them like their mental health is normal, because it is normal. If somebody broke their arm, you're not going to avoid talking about it because you don't want to upset them. You want to show them you care and you support them. So you ask, is there anything I can do to support you? Is there anything I can do to make you feel better? What is it that you need right now? You continue to talk to them like they're a normal person. You don't just avoid conversation with them because they broke their arm. So why would you avoid conversation with somebody who's struggling with their mental health? Like I said, that's gonna make them feel even more alone. So yeah, I think that the most important thing to just show somebody that you care, show somebody that you support them, is to educate yourself, to learn about what they are truly going through. Don't act awkward or uncomfortable around them, because it's gonna make us feel even more uncomfortable and then make us feel more closed off and not want to talk about it even more. Acknowledge what they're going through like it's normal. Ask how they're feeling. Ask how their energy levels are. Ask if they've eaten today. Ask how their sleep has been. Ask if they want to go do something with you. Ask if there's anything that you can do for them. Ask what kind of support they need. And like I said, if you don't even know if this person is going through something, just ask them. Ask how they're doing, and just let them know that you're there for them. Even if they deny it at first, even if they don't tell you anything is wrong, just letting them know that you're there, and that you're there without judgment. You're there without making it this big thing, and normalizing it with them is going to make them feel so much more comfortable to reach out to you. I also think that it's okay if you know this person is going to counseling or taking medication. It's okay to ask about those things. Personally, I don't think that these are some secret that we can't talk about. These are real steps that we're taking towards improving our mental health, and it's not a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing to ask about it either. It shows that you care about their steps that they're taking towards improving their mental health. Another thing is, don't take offense by the behavior of somebody else. If somebody is depressed or anxious, if they're quiet or upset, if they seem nervous or fearful, try not to take it personally. Take a step back, try and acknowledge how they're feeling, and put yourself in their shoes. Like I said, at the end of the day, everybody is different. The kind of support that they need is different. But I think it's just important to normalize it. Make sure that you're not treating somebody differently and ignoring it, walking on eggshells around them because it makes you uncomfortable, when the person who is struggling with their mental health already feels uncomfortable enough, do your best to educate yourself and understand what this person is going through. The one thing that is going to help them feel less alone is just knowing that they're not being judged by you and that you accept them for who they are, whether they're struggling or not. That is it for this video. I will be answering more questions in my next video. Please add in the comments if there's any extra questions that you want me to go over. But thank you so much for listening to my mental health episode 2 video, and I'll see you next time.